I find myself this morning at Lord's on a momentous day 50 years ago today. Rachael Heyhoe Flint walked onto the hallowed surface, just the pavilion there, with their England cricket team. Delighted to say at Bud's on the 2nd of August, we will have the Rachael Heyhoe Flint Collection. Just over 50 items of the collection going under the hammer. The sale will be here at Lord's. Delighted here. I'm being joined by Ben Flint, Rachel's son, who's going to tell us about all about his mum, about cricket, and a few highlights in the upcoming auction. Ben, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Yes, this is your second home, I guess, Lord's.
I do come here quite a bit. Yeah, I also play real tennis here, so I'm here quite regularly.
Perfect. I've got just a little questions here, and I suppose the first one, tell us about your mum's career.
Oh boy, I mean, so much of that career bypassed me because I was a little nipper. In '76, 50 years ago to the day almost. I was only 2 years old, but I have been told by a number of the girls, like Megan and Jan, who you've just chatted to, that they, Mum walked out and I would shout from the pavilion, "I can see you, Mum." So, a lot of it was passing me by. At the end of the day, she was just Mum to me. The domestic life, she was a very loving, caring mum, hopeless cook, but a very useful cricket coach on the front lawn. But she was always insanely busy. Unfortunately, not in the auction, because I lost it when I was a teenager. She had a little girl guides knife with wah-wah tazy on the scabbard, which is Native American for little firefly. And that was Mum. She was a firefly buzzing here and there, playing cricket, obviously, but then later in life doing the managerial stuff, either at Wolverhampton Wanderers, here at Lord's with the ECB, at the Lord's Taverners, or the Lady Taverners, where she was president for 10 years. She was just always on the move doing stuff. Poor old Dad, lived a very lonely life, happily retired. But yeah, I mean, she was just a fun person to be around.
What was it like growing up in the cricketing world then? I mean, do you play cricket yourself?
Yeah, I do. I'm slightly longer in the tooth, and I'm nowhere near as good as Mum and Dad. Dad played for Warwickshire as well, and he gave me more coaching on the front lawn than Mum, because she was so busy doing stuff on the pitch itself. But so I play a fair bit. There was pressure for sure. When I was at school, there was definite pressure that I felt as son of Rachel or whatever. And I'm sure other sons and daughters of sporting stars have that issue. But to be honest, Mum and Dad never pressured me. They let me follow my own path. I'm very much a jack of all trades. I played loads of sports and I enjoy that variety in my life. But yeah, I mean, there was even before Mum passed away in 2017 and since, just so many wonderful cricketing moments for me as an individual. So I've been incredibly privileged to, have grown up under her shadow, if it will.
I mean, you mentioned Jan and Megan just joined us to chat about, obviously, Mum, obviously,
Yeah.
colleague. And I asked them how they got into cricket. So how did your mum get into cricket then, at such a high level as well, of course?
So the fun, I don't think it's apocryphal. I think it's true story. She had a brother, a bit like Jan had three, and herself, her brother, and her brother's boyfriends, not boyfriends, you know what I mean, his male buddies from school, they were playing cricket in the streets, like some proper street urchins in the burbs of Wolverhampton where they all grew up. And a bobby came along and told off the boys for playing cricket. And Mum was playing with them, so she went up to the policeman and said, "Well, aren't you going to tell me off?" And the policeman said, "Girls don't play cricket." Right. That's my best Wolverhampton accent I can do. And she, with much indignation, stormed off. And maybe that was the only inspiration, but no, there was many more. I mean, she grew up in the era of Mary Duggan, went to the same PE colleges as them. But one of the simple things, a bit like Bill Gates and Microsoft, there was cricket at Wolverhampton Girls High School where she grew up, and no rounders, cricket, and that was the cradle for Mum's cricket.
But was she sporty in general?
Yes.
Yeah.
Her mum and dad were both PE teachers, so there was natural hand-eye ball. I mean, Mum was also a single-figure handicap golfer. She played squash for Staffordshire. And she was natural.
And what do you think her biggest achievement was, or greatest, biggest achievement in cricket was? then, now, legacy, all of that sort of thing?
That's a heck of a question.
It is, sorry, yeah.
No, I mean, I think you'd have to say, there are so many, but I think you'd have to say championing the cause for all the other girls to enable them to become members of MCC in 1998, then 99 when it came through, at the second time of asking. So, you know, that, again, Mum being that firefly, and she took on so many different projects, and most of it just based on, you know, unbridled passion for the game. And she just felt that in all the things she was doing, she just wanted a level playing field, whether it was playing here in 76. But I think, again, you know, just getting through to enable girls to become members here, girls, women, and becoming one of those first 10 honorary life members.
Yeah.
That I think is probably her biggest achievement.
I mean, I had the great pleasure of cataloguing, you know, say nearly 50 lots were created for this particular auction. And I certainly, the sense I have through the catalogue text is how highly she was sort of respected, not only obviously women's cricket, but also men's cricket as well. I mean, some of the sort of the names on the text that we've been cataloguing, you know, the MCC application, as we mentioned before. So I mean, it must be, for you, it must be sort of a thrilling thing to sort of see and go through the collection. You know, your mum died, sadly, you know, a few years ago now. And so why now? Why are we selling the collection now? Or
good point.
Part of the collection, obviously keeping some mementos, obviously, for yourself. And but why these 50 items or 50 lots in the sale?
You know, I think, I would hope I'm not the only one guilty of this, that a lot of these wonderful, cherished items are sitting not on display somewhere. You know, storage boxes, you know, in the case of her MCC application form, I didn't actually know I had it. And here I am, then I was just going through as part of this exercise and stumbling over it going, my God, there's some wonderful moments in history in this. And then there's some wacky stuff like the wedding dress, right? So I just felt it was time to pass it on. It obviously, you know, last year I heard from the MCC about all their celebration of women's cricket that's taking place, the first ever test match here, the Women's World Cup final here. And I just felt, oh, maybe this is the time to let it go. And yep, of course, it's an emotional wrench to do that. But I'm sure that there are many, many other people there that would like, you know, either a fun little trinket or an incredible slice of history or just something incredibly personal from her life.
You're not the first one. You won't be the last
No.
to do it, sort of thing. You say things that move from house clearance to house clearance to house move. So yes, this is the thing to do. Now we've brought sort of one thing. I'm to be honest, bring one of the lots along today here, and this silver bat. And you tell us about this.
So this was, you know, given to Mum for all her efforts, basically at the ECB. She was one of the first female committee members of the MCC, the first, and I think she was probably the first female ECB committee member. So what was the year on this one? 2016. Well, 2016 she stopped being a board director. Yeah, and that was a year before she passed away. So you know, this is a lovely piece, but again, it was just one that isn't being displayed. I felt, again, someone might love it. I'm keeping her original bats that she scored 179 and took 8 hours to do that, to defend a test match at the Oval and against Australia in 76. I've got that one.
Yeah.
I'm keeping that back for now. We'll see what happens in later years. But there are some other bats that we've got some real bats which she played with. One that was been crafted by Gray-Nicolls from a fallen willow tree that fell over naturally in our garden. So, you know, something that's really come from literally Mum's backyard. So there's some fun stuff, but yeah, this one's special. And
tell me about the cricket balls, especially obviously the blue ones at the front of the collection. Tell us about that.
Yes, so again, 1976, this match that was here was part of a series that was sponsored by Unigate, the dairy company that had the St Ivel brand that I think still exists today. And Jonathan Fry, who was the chair at the time, I believe, he and the sponsorship decided to create a blue ball and gift it to each of the players who played in the 76 match. Again, almost 50 years ago. The auction will be 2 days before that 50-year anniversary. But there is some fun history in the blue ball. I'm sure the MCC Museum here will tell you that I think the original one created for women was blue because they felt they might be shocked by the sight of a red ball because it might remind them of blood. Some hilariously anachronistic stuff, but you know, very unique. I mean, some of the girls I think still have their blue ball, but this is Mum's personal one, and I just thought it was unique.
Yeah, I mean, just as a few items, obviously that we've got some cricket bats in the sale. I've mentioned this cricket ball. There's a quite nice set of stumps, but I think are quite smart. Really nice things there. Lots of ephemera, obviously speeches as well. Your mum's a great sort of after dinner speaker. There's copies of speeches. The MCC, as Catherine has been mentioned as well. A wonderful collection of photographs, all sorts in there for you, and you'll see it all online at buds.com. So, but this is only part of of 50 lots going under the hammer here at Lord's on the 2nd of August. A few more questions for you. What was one of your the favourite memories of your mum's career? Something stand out?
Again, there are not too many memories that I have as a result of being super young. I remember her getting injured very vividly. She was playing against a men's side, and I don't remember where, and she got a bouncer on the cheek, and I was old enough to be shocked and alarmed and rushed into the changing room, and Mum's got a great big ice packet and a livid bruise appearing on her cheek. No helmets in those days, or very few. We have got a helmet in the auction, remember? But she definitely wasn't wearing it that day. And so that one sticks in my brain. And she carried a scar for the rest of her life, basically, on her cheekbone from that gentleman who probably felt incredibly guilty for life. I don't, unfortunately, remember her ever, I wasn't old enough to remember some of her famous innings. I did go on tour with them. So I remember in 1982 sitting on the steps of Hamilton Cricket Club Pavilion, and Mum brought out her ukulele, which she used to take on tour with her, because not only could she bat and bowl, she could play the ukulele and the hunting horn randomly. And we don't have the ukulele. I don't know where that's gone, unfortunately. But she was serenading the team, and they're all singing Sloop John B on the pavilion steps. And, as the sun's setting after a match, celebrating with the Kiwi team. And, there's some of those little backstory moments that, you would never see on camera or be reported anywhere. So some of those are truly lovely. And then there's some hilarious ones. Very quickly, in 1976, she was so intimidated by the pavilion here that when they came out of the home dressing rooms, they felt they could not ever walk through. They couldn't walk through the long room, so she skirted round it past the committee room and then walked down the back row, affectionately death row, of the pavilion terrace, and then down the central aisle to the wicket gate to take the pitch. So there's fun little things that they from her day that have been reported to me.
Yeah, fine. And the last one here, so what do you think of the evolution of the women's game over the last 10 years? So, obviously you've seen it, obviously your mum's perspective, 50 years ago today, she's walking out here in this wonderful sort of sporting pavilion. How has it changed?
Night and day, I think, is the easiest way to describe it. I think you would say that the England team of the noughties and the tens were still struggling to not necessarily make ends meet, but to turn a career out of it. It was all done through passion, as the two girls were saying. There was no payment in those days. Mum had to they all had to pay for their own blazers. We worked, I was hearing that one of the girls had to sell her car to go on tour in 1968 because it cost £750 to go on tour, and they had to finance the whole thing. I did an inflation-adjusted calculation on that out of curiosity last night. That's £16,500 in today's money.
Wow.
And they're working. They're teachers. They had to resign from work, sell the car, get a loan from grandma, one of them was saying, to finance their own passions. Now, obviously, we've got amazing equality for the women's game. The MCC are going through a gender diversity consultation period to try and work out how to create more female members within the club. Because since Mum's Day, there's still only 3% of members are women here. And I think that some of it just comes around to the fact that people don't know that it is accessible. So MCC is, changing this. They've laid on the first ever test match. The Women's World Cup T20 final was here last week. So there is a massive sea change that's happened in the last 10 years. And it's hard to pinpoint what exactly it was. But definitely, I think the England Lionesses and their successes in the mid-teens, and then us winning the World Cup in 2017, that's really helped catapult the sport. And it was against India, who are playing here today, and it was a dramatic game. Unbelievable drama. So I think those were some of the amazing catalysts. But there's definitely been this drip feed of the girls that you've seen here today, mums lobbying from within to help try and create this balance, which is fabulous.
Fantastic. Well, I think, it's a name certainly that I grew up with as well, being in the sporting sort of pavilion, a sporting sort of arena. Ben, thank you very much for sharing your memories with us today. I say the auction, just over 50 lots, will go live on 12th of July on our website, buds.com. The auction itself will be here at Lord's on the 2nd of August, which is Sunday, which is a match. Obviously, there's a match on at that time as well.
Middlesex Yorkshire.
Middlesex Yorkshire, that game. So, any obviously, please go to the website. Any questions, any queries, contact myself. Delighted to help with any further questions about the collection. But Ben, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Look forward to the auction.